Masteries are one of the most controversial things added to slap battles, with a lot of people hating them and wishing they were never added. However, in this video, I'm going to be determining, did Masteries really ruin slap battles? So let's get started. Now, if you're not super familiar with Masteries, they are basically better versions of gloves you can get by doing certain quests. Let's take for example the Obby Glove. If you complete these 3 different quests, as you can see, you'll get these Master upgrades. Now this seems pretty cool, so what's the problem with Masteries? One major problem with Masteries is how they're obtained. Some Masteries are pretty easy to obtain, such as the Fort and Wormhole Masteries. However, some are also extremely difficult and time-consuming to get, such as the Moai and Voodoo Masteries. These Masteries are so difficult that most players probably don't even get these Masteries just because they're so difficult to get, and generally just are not even worth obtaining. And yeah, a lot of people don't like Masteries because they're just too difficult to get, and most of them generally are not worth getting. However, this leads to another problem. Because a lot of Masteries are so difficult to obtain, a lot of players have just resulted in trying to find secret methods or certain glitches in order to obtain these Masteries faster. Take for example Null Entities. Null Entities are now patched in newer Masteries, however in older Masteries you can just use them to get quests done pretty quickly. Take for example the Bus Mastery. For the Bus Mastery, there's a quest where you need to hit 750 players with your Bus ability. Well, when you're using Null Entities for this, you can just have Null Entities be summoned, and then you can just immediately use your bus over them and it will actually count towards the quest. Same for the Slap quest. And well, this kind of defeats the whole purpose of actually quote-unquote mastering a glove. Mastering a glove is for you to actually get better at the glove so you can get the mastered version. If you're just finding glitches or bugs in order to get these masteries, it just kind of ruins the whole point of masteries in my opinion. And because people are trying to find faster methods to get masteries which weren't even intended in the first place, it's resulted in a lot of slap farming going on. If you guys remember when the Global Mastery came out, you'll know that there was a ton of slap farming going on. A lot of people would just get their all account or a friend's account on the castle wall, and they would just be spamming crits on the account and they would be getting the mastery very fast, however they were slap farming. So in a way, in my opinion, masteries have encouraged slap farming, which is obviously not good. Now that I've talked about some of the major problems with Masteries, I'm going to be showing my opinion on Masteries. So, do I think Masteries should have never been added to the game? No, I think Masteries were actually a very good addition to the game, and they gave players who have completed everything else in slap battles something to do. Because if you've completed everything else in slap battles, Masteries are actually a very good thing you can get because, well, like I said, you have nothing else to do. However, I do think Masteries were poorly executed into slap battles. I think most of the quests are just very tedious, pointless, and just make people not even want to get masteries. A good example is the Obby Mastery. The first quest is literally just slapping 1,000 people, which that has nothing to do with the Obby Glove at all. You can do that with pretty much any other glove in the game. What I think should have been added here is a different quest that has you place specific parts. There's one quest that has you place 2,000 of any parts. This first quest should have been, I don't know, place like 100 of the ladder pieces, place 50 of the kill bricks, place maybe like 200 of the square pieces, something like that that actually has something to do with the mastery. Another thing I think should have been added to masteries is better upgrades. I'm going to take for example the Space Mastery. All you're able to do is slap people farther away because you can slap them with like 0 gravity or something. And then you can also use this like, gravity reversal bubble that literally all it does is just shoot people in the sky, which to be honest, it just kind of helps other players slap you from, look at this, they can literally just slap me easier when I use the ability. So Space definitely doesn't have the best upgrades, and I think there is a lot of potential with this mastery that wasn't added, which is kind of sad. And I also think slap battles should also just be listening to people more when making masteries. A lot of people have really good suggestions that I've seen for masteries, and I think slap battles should definitely be listening to these mastery suggestions because they're actually very good, and I think they would actually make masteries way better. But anyways, in conclusion, do I think masteries actually ruin slap battles? No, I don't think they ruined the game, but I do think they were executed in the game poorly. But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me, or do you have a different opinion? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, that is going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.